915 words within target. Here's the final script. There is a mechanism called the Interagency Review Process under Executive Order 12,866. No law you've read created it, and it has controlled every federal regulation in this country since 1993 without a single vote in Congress. Here's what it actually is, stripped of the jargon. Before any federal rule can take effect, a safety standard, an emissions limit, a workplace protection, it has to pass through a small office inside the White House called OIRA, the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs. Not Congress, not the courts. A handful of unelected reviewers physically inside the executive office of the president who can rewrite, delay, or quietly kill a regulation before the public ever sees a draft. Every agency in the federal government answers to this room. The EPA, the FDA, OSHA, the Department of Labor, all of it funnels through the same closed door. Here's how it came to exist without anyone voting on it. In 1981, Ronald Reagan signed Executive Order 12,291, using a power presidents have always had, the authority to manage how the executive branch runs itself internally. No bill, no floor debate, no committee hearing. Just a signature. In 1993, Bill Clinton replaced it with Executive Order 12,866, keeping the same core machine and giving it its current name. Two presidents from opposing parties, 12 years apart, both reached the same conclusion: this tool was too useful to give up. That should tell you something. When power crosses party lines untouched, it usually isn't ideology holding it in place. It's structure, and the structure is the point. Because an executive order isn't a law, Congress cannot repeal it the way it repeals a statute. There's no bill to kill. The only way to end it is for a sitting president to sign a new order undoing it, and no president, Republican or Democrat, has ever chosen to give this power back. Since 1981, OIRA has reviewed tens of thousands of rules. Meetings with outside lobbyists get logged, technically, in a public docket. But what gets changed in that room, and why, is not required to be explained to you. A rule can go in one shape and come out another, and the law only requires OIRA to disclose that a meeting happened, not what was said, not what was traded, not what was quietly dropped from the final text. Think about what that means for something ordinary. Say OSHA drafts a new safety standard for workers in a hot warehouse, heat illness prevention, something that could save lives this summer. That rule doesn't go to vote. It goes to OIRA. Industry groups request meetings, which they're legally entitled to, and those meetings happen behind the same door. Weeks or months later, the rule that emerges might have new exemptions, softened thresholds, delayed timelines, and there is no public transcript telling workers why. Not because anyone broke a law, because the law was built this way on purpose. OIRA doesn't have to justify a change if it can cite something as broad as regulatory burden or interagency coordination. Those phrases do enormous work, and they're not required to show their math. Remember, no one voted on any of this. Not the office, not its power, not the standard it uses to decide what survives. A regulation can take years to draft, cost millions in agency research, involve public comment periods where ordinary citizens write in expecting to be heard, and still be quietly reshaped in a room that owes none of them an explanation. The comment period is real. The influence of the comment period once the rule reaches OIRA is optional. And here's the part that should actually worry you more than the secrecy: it's completely legal. Every element of this process has survived judicial review. Courts have consistently held that a president's internal management of the executive branch is his own prerogative, not something the judiciary polices. Congress could pass a law tomorrow constraining it, in theory. But doing so would mean any sitting president giving away power his predecessors built and his successors will inherit. No party in office has ever had the incentive to disarm itself first. That's the lock. It isn't hidden in a vault or buried in classified files. It's hidden in plain sight, protected by the simple fact that undoing it requires the very office that benefits from it to volunteer the loss. Every 4 or 8 years, a new administration takes the White House, and every time it keeps the machine running under a different name if it likes, or the same one if it doesn't bother. Structural permanence doesn't come from secrecy. It comes from making the exit door only accessible to the people with the least reason to walk through it. And once you see that pattern here, you start seeing it everywhere. How many other rules governing your life were never voted on by anyone, not written into law, but written into the internal operating procedure of an agency, defensible in court, invisible on the evening news? The interagency review process is only the most visible example, because it at least has a name. Most of what shapes federal power doesn't. So the next time a regulation meant to protect you quietly disappears or reappears with the teeth removed, ask yourself who was in the room. Then ask why you're not allowed to know. Save to home/jarvisadmin/hidden rule interagency script, MD.